Today we're going to talk about the user interface of Grasshopper. First of all, to launch Grasshopper, you can go to your standard tab and click on this Grasshopper icon, or alternatively, you could also type Grasshopper in the command line to launch your Grasshopper. When it is first launched, you'll see some simple tutorial. I'll close it for now. This is the user interface of Grasshopper. What you can see is you have a menu on the top and you have the tabs. And under each tab, you'll see multiple panels. Inside the panel, and you'll see all these components, and sometimes they are called batteries. I'll use them interchangeably. And below the panels, you'll see a toolbar. This is the main space for modeling, and we'll call it workspace or the canvas. What you see here is a tile of the most recently opened files, and the red means that either you deleted the file or you moved the file to somewhere else. To place a component on the canvas, there are two ways. First of all, you can place a component by clicking on the component you want and then click on the canvas one more time. You can place the component on the canvas, or you could also search it. To search the component, there are two different ways. First of all, you can hit the space key. It's going to bring up the search dialog box. You can search line and select the component you want. Or you can also double click on the empty space and search line. It's going to give you the same thing. And on the right top corner, there is a list of files, and this can manage your different files when you have multiple of them. Right now, I just have one. And to navigate your model on your canvas, you can scroll your mouse wheel to zoom out or zoom in, or you can drag your right mouse button to pan across your canvas. Sometimes you might lose these definitions for some reason. Then on the right bottom corner, you'll see a compass that's pointing to the top right corner of your canvas, which is going this way. So you know that it's roughly right there. And when you have a lot of batteries around in your canvas, then you'll see the black dots on the compass indicates where the majority of your batteries are, which is helpful for you to identify where your code is. You can select the components you want by draw a window across the canvas. In this case, I'll delete these two components. And let's look at this one component as an example. This component is to draw a point. Typically, a component have three different parts. So the main part at the center is the name of the component. So when you hover your mouse over the component, shows that what the name of the component is and some other helpful information. On the left side, there are three inputs to this component, which is X, Y, and Z coordinates. On the right side, you have the output of the component. In this case, a point. When you hover your mouse over the input and output, it's going to give you some relevant information. When you right-click on the input or output, it brings out a context menu, and we're going to talk about this in later sections. So now I have a point on my canvas. If you look at your Rhino viewport, you can see that there's a corresponding point on the Rhino viewport. If I select the battery on the canvas, you'll see that the battery turns into green. Also, the corresponding geometry in Rhino viewport also turns into green. That means that that geometry is being selected. And if you deselect the component, you can see that it's going to be in red, which is the default color for unselected objects. Another useful user interface is the Radial menu. So when you select the component, you click on the mouse wheel, emphasizing on the clicking. It brings up a radial menu, and there are many useful functions on this radial menu. For example, if you click on this blindfold icon, you can hide the geometry, or you can show the geometry by enabled preview. And there are many more functions on this radial menu. We're going to talk about it in later sessions. This wraps up the most fundamental user interface of Grasshopper, and we'll talk about more details as we move along. I'll see you in next video.